DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We are looking at the 6-game Monday main slate over on DraftKings. Starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Goes all the way to 10:30 p.m. We get Utah versus the Los Angeles Clippers there. We also have Denver, Sacramento at 10 p.m. So about 3 hours, 2.5 hours between the 7 o'clock start times and then the late night hammers to go off. This is also a pretty interesting slate, given that it's a Nikola Jokic slate, especially down in the late night hammer. You have that to deal with. We have a questionable LaMelo Ball, so maybe LaMelo Ball returning here for the Charlotte Hornets as well. Last game out, they got Bridges back, so that team is finally starting to get healthier. They started Mark Williams, had been starting Mark Williams as well. He didn't play a ton of minutes, but is starting. So Charlotte starting to get.
He looked good. He looked good, by the way, in that start.
So we got that going on here. Philadelphia, no Jared McCain, no Joel Embiid, who got injured yet again. Broken.
Hold on. Before we, I am not going to accept that. That was a laugh. He got hit in the face.
Yeah.
Take your laugh back. Take it back.
What laugh?
We're not going to be the make fun of Joel Embiid podcast. That's not.
I'm not making fun of Joel Embiid. He has found his way again to the injured list.
That's correct.
Just like LaMelo Ball steps on fans' ankles, right? These things happen to people, but once again, Joel Embiid is not available for us to play.
It's so unfortunate. Poor guy.
Just the way it is. So we're down to a Maxey George team, which means we have Maxey in a great spot here against Charlotte. So we'll talk about it all. We'll go through each game, each position, and we'll build a lineup. At the end of the show, we'll just completely ignore what happened the last time you and I were live on this channel. We had 4 games from Nikola Jokic in a blowout. You had the Joel Embiid in. We had a good week. We did not end it on a good note. So I am ready to pick it back up. This is also a very odd week of NBA scheduling wise.
Sure.
There's just one game on Tuesday. So if you're watching this, you will not see us again until, the 5 p.m. live. But then after that, you won't see us again until Thursday or Wednesday. No, Thursday. So because we're not doing live shows or preview show for the one game. There are 0 games on Wednesday. So you won't see us on Wednesday.
What are we supposed to be? What do we do on Wednesday?
I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know. There's nothing going on. So the next time that we have live shows will be Thursday. And we'll do the preview show for the Thursday slate as well, but a little hiatus. Not that we want it. We would love for the NBA to give us real schedules, but we got the in-season tournament and all that stuff going on. So anyways, this will be the first show for a little bit this week.
John, our picks, by the way, play each other. I picked the Bucks and you picked the Thunder.
There you go. We picked the chalk.
Knicks, I would say the chalk until the Knicks. Once the Knicks lost, it was everyone's picking the Bucks.
Okay. Well, I picked
right.
I mean, the Thunder were always the favorite to win.
So. The Thunder were always the favorite to win. That's
sure. All right. We've delayed long enough. If you're still with us here, thank you for hanging on. Hit that like, that subscribe, that share button so you do get notified the next time that we post a video here breaking down the NBA DFS slate. Point guard, LaMelo, 10K, upgraded to questionable. Cade at 96, James Harden at 94, Donnie Mitch at 9K, Maxey 88, Fox 87. We'll start there, breaking it all down here. We've been playing a lot of Harden lately. Late night hammer, home versus Utah. Feels like a pretty good spot. How does he compare to the rest of that group for you?
Yeah, I probably would stay away from LaMelo. I guess it just depends on if there's a limit or not, if he returns. Mm-hmm. We saw Bridges return. He did look very good in his return, but he played 25 minutes, and that was a month of absence, nearly a month. LaMelo's been out for 2 weeks. I assume there might be a little bit of a similar type of restriction, especially you mentioned there's been lower leg issues for LaMelo throughout the early stages of his career, like every year. So probably not for me. You can always play Cade at this point. He has a very high ceiling.
Agreed.
There's just a high ceiling. I mean, no Tobias Harris in this game for Detroit, so more of the burden of the offense will fall on Cade Cunningham. But I do like Harden a whole bunch. He obviously has had like a tough stretch over the last few games. The Portland game, not really his fault. It was a blowout. He plays 32 minutes as a guy averaging 33 and a half, but we see in competitive games 38 and 37. So like lost out a bunch of minutes there. Minnesota obviously was the second leg of a back-to-back, the worst game of the year. And then Denver, he didn't really do anything. 9 turnovers, and they got housed, and he never came back. So
3 straight blowouts, really. So,
well, 2 blowouts and 3. 3. Yeah, the Minnesota game was a blowout. I'm good with it. Utah, there was how many points was scored in that Utah game against Phoenix? There was like gajillion the other day. It was like 80 to 70 at half. So love Harden, love Donnie, love Maxey. No Joel against Charlotte. It's going to be Tyrese Maxey and Paul George playing 40 plus minutes a night. Because also there's not even Jared McCain to lean on here.
Right.
Well. So love Maxey right there, probably with Harden for me. And I think De'Aaron Fox is super safe. So I like all basically the top tier, with the exception of LaMelo, who's the most expensive.
If you had to pick, like, we're building lineups at the end of the show. If you're picking one of that group, who's the plug?
If I'm picking one, it's probably Tyrese Maxey.
Maxey. Yeah, I'm pulling up the usage rates right here for Maxey. Obviously, probably pretty decent sample size without Joel Embiid on the floor this year, because the man has barely played.
They've definitely had a little
hasn't been on there. So no Maxey and no Embiid. And no McCain. Let's see. And Maxey on the floor. Maxey has a 32% usage rate on the season, with those two players off the floor. 31.8%. Paul George is 26.5. So 32% is a good usage rate there for Maxey. Group below, Darius Garland, 77, Tyler Hero, 76. We'll see if Murray suits up or not here. He is $7,300.
Yeah, I mean, Garland is very safe if that game can stay competitive. Evan Mobley expected to return. Garland had the ceiling game the other day. You can always get to him. Hero has been great. 7,600 is a good price. You know, didn't like need to be extended last game, just 9 for 13, 32 minutes. That game was well in hand.
It's still really good. Right?
Still really good over 32 minutes. Well over a fantasy point per minute. Jamal Murray looked really good the other night. Looked better than everyone else on Denver offensively. Looked good defensively too. Yeah, obviously, like there's a little bit of a concern. I think the thing just with how he's played in general, I would say the most positive part of that game is the 31 minutes. You know, you can round up to 32 like DraftKings did, but coming off the hamstring, 8 days off, wasn't even sure if he's going to play, and then plays 32 minutes. You have to love that. Have to assume Murray's back to, you know, as close to full as possible. Malik Monk's always in playing tournaments. Josh Giddey. The Giddey thing is interesting because he freaking nuked, and
2 straight saves really for him too. Two big performances.
Zach LaVine is clearly having issues with the back. He looked terrible in that game. He looked like he just kind of was hanging out. He looked like someone who was trying to get through a game with back spasms, right? He played, but he took 11 shots. Vooch is also on the injury report. He's probable, but if that illness becomes an issue or LaVine sits out, I mean, there's obviously Giddey's sailing in terms of minutes. So always in play in tournaments, always also live to give you 22 minutes and ruin your lineup. So tournaments only for me for Josh Giddey.
Working our way below that, you obviously have Kobe White's there. Keontae George is $6,300. All the Chicago guards If there's no Jamal Murray, there's like Westbrook. What are we? Mičić is here still at 53, but maybe not if Ball returns. We again have to watch that one there. Thoughts on the value range as we work our way down to point guard?
I assume Murray's going to play. He's listed probable.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
But how many times lately have we seen guys probable out, right?
That's fair. That's fair. For sure. If there's no, you're just not going to know. That's the only thing. You won't have a lot of things to pivot to. Keontae, has looked good, has looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to continue against the Clippers? I'm not so sure. I much rather the Clippers side. Io, if someone sits, is definitely in play. Westbrook, Sexton, I guess what happens with Ben Simmons? No Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder's traded. Does he get extended? They just don't seemingly want to, right? 21, 18, 21, 12.
He's not really a good basketball player.
He has not been good this year. A lot. 5,500 against Cleveland.
We got obviously Shake is here. Got to assume his minutes go up, right?
Yeah.
And he's been good. They got him at $4,700. There's Keon Johnson's here as well. Both of those guys probably see increase run here.
Yep, agreed.
Anybody else? Did we do the Drew Smith thing? 34 minutes for him against Toronto in that game. 26, 29 before that. I know, for $3,800, he's certainly getting enough run to be considered.
I don't hate it. I don't hate the minutes. I don't think he's a very good fantasy player. Just looking at 3 straight games of a lot of minutes and not a lot of fantasy production to follow. You also don't need 40 fantasy points from him. So a little bit indifferent. Yes, no kind of thing. I think Kevin Porter's another person you could possibly look at. $4,400. Plays in blowouts if this game blows out, plays regular minutes to begin with, plays low 20s, mid 20s anyway. So I would probably take a shot on a Porter because I know at least, I'm going down with shot volume as opposed to Drew Smith just, farting around out there.
Sure. Shooting guard. We talked Donnie Mitch briefly. Brandon Miller's $8,900 there. Probably avoiding Levine with the back. I talked Monk, Ivy. We had Norm Powell, who, again, everybody in that game was kind of disappointing. He only played 30 minutes. It was a blowout. He probably would have got the 20.5 points that I bet had they played him, his usual 35 in a competitive game. So I'm not really ready to chalk that as a bad call. It was just the game flow didn't go the way we thought it was going to go here. Like this, again, to run right back at $6,500 against Clippers.
Yeah, right back. No, he was also missing open shots in that game. So, bad night in the office for the Clippers in general. Willing to go right back to the Normwell, not scared off it at all.
Nope. Clarkson back, played 31 minutes right out of the jump. 36 fantasy points.
He sure did.
A guy that will soon likely be traded to another team.
Hopefully for his sake he is. Just get this man on it. Get this man somewhere he wants to be. It's harder for me to say no to Clarkson because he's coming off the bench and doesn't have to necessarily deal with all that Clipper wing crap that other teams have to deal with. I'm okay with it. Same thing with Grady Dick. No Scotty Barnes. Grady Dick back to being that dude who just takes a bunch of shots, right? 19 shots in 31 minutes. Yep. You have to assume there's foul trouble in that game. There's also I know it says 10 points. It was 20. And then RJ Barrett muscled out a triple double at the end of that game. And suddenly it looks like it was pretty competitive where it wasn't. So I think Grady Dick against the Bulls, 5,900 is a really good play.
Agreed. We'll talk RJ Barrett in a moment here, but obviously maybe one of the more popular plays overall of the day. Sexton, Oubre are down here. Karis LeVert, Beasley's 46 for him there. The minutes tailed off that last game, but I'm not going to hold that against him. He's still been pretty good by and large here.
Do you think he starts for Toby?
Possibly.
What do you think?
I'm still waiting to see if they go Oscar or Thompson or not, but
Yeah,
kind of
true. They
weird.
have like so many different directions they can go.
Yeah, exactly.
Simone, Thompson, Holland.
Like they've been playing Thompson enough to get him sort of like up to speed. I think eventually they move him if they can there. Any other shooting guards for you?
Any other shooting guards?
Ricky Council get more minutes here?
He did get a lot of minutes. I don't hate Ricky Council. I don't hate Chris Dunn. Only had to play 20 minutes the other day because the blowout. But they're down. Them being the Clippers, they're down a bunch of guys. Revenge narrative for Chris Dunn, so 4,200 for him. I think it's okay.
Then Robinson minutes randomly back to 18.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't. I mean, Drew Smith playing 30. There's just not enough minutes for everyone to go around, which, is like I always say, like, it's just impossible to predict these like Heat guys. Like Drew Smith might play 12 minutes tomorrow or DMP, and you're like, oh, Eric Spoelstra being Eric Spoelstra again.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything. I guess like TBD on Philadelphia in general.
Merrill didn't even get the blowout run because there wasn't a blowout, but he still got 24 minutes. And
he did. He played well. Yeah, he played really well in that game.
Jordan Miller only got 15. Anything else at shooting guard?
No.
Okay. Small forward we go. RJ Barrett's 91. RJ Barrett for Chicago feels pretty good here.
Dude, there's no price.
Feels pretty good.
RJ at home, no Scotty here, by the way. So
yeah. Feels good.
Dude, if they're going to do this lineup, they started him at point guard where they were doing the same thing with Barnes, right? They're starting these dudes at point guard while there's no Quickly.
Yeah.
They played Mobo as well. He's live for a triple-double. So there's almost no price too high if we're going to get this guy at 10K or this guy under $10,000 by team by himself.
Sure. I agree. Legit spot for him and all that stuff here. What do we do with Paul George? The minutes are great. Now he doesn't have to deal with Joel Embiid usage. Again, he has a 27% usage rate without Joel Embiid and McCain on the floor. He is averaging 1.25 fantasy points per minute. That is greater than Maxey. $8,300. Is this another one of those like take your stand Paul George moments here?
It can be. It's a great spot.
He went for 51 in this same spot a few weeks earlier.
I mean, dude, he's very good at basketball, even though you don't think so.
I think he might be slightly overrated.
I think that we're going to see the volume, obviously, where it was 12 and 13. We're going to see the volume kind of take a big uptick, and you probably get Paul George around 20 shots nightly. And I think he's very, very, very good peripherally. So if we're getting 20 shots from Paul George with his normal peripheral stats, with the minutes, I think that he's going to have a nightly kind of like 40-point fantasy floor. And there's like 50, 60 fantasy point upside. So yeah, I mean, I honestly, I prefer RJ for 800 more, which is, not going to be everyone's favorite thing to do, but
if you're not playing the Joker, you could build a fair balance line.
Yeah,
you can get them both in.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I like Paul George more than I like Tyrese Maxey, but George has multi-position eligibility and it's cheaper, so ultimately we'll see how that ownership discrepancy shakes out. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about PG without Embiid here.
Agreed. No shooter, no Cam Thomas on the floor this season. Cam J 1.16 fantasy points per minute. It's only a 23% usage rate. Watford is the team leader, but obviously not a ton of minutes overall there.
Right.
Johnson has the most minutes, so it's a Cleveland matchup, but he is likely poised to take quite a few shots. Got buckets, got DeRozan in that same tier. Any interest in those guys?
I don't dislike DeMar DeRozan. I find it very hard to get to him these days. I don't know if I've played one singular day of DeMar DeRozan, not one. and I don't feel like I've missed out at all. So I don't think that's going to change here. It's a fine spot. If Levine plays, I don't know. The back looks not great. Butler, it kind of looked like, it was, hey, it's Toronto. He's going to defer. And he did. And then, hey, it's Detroit. Kind of like Toronto. Probably going to defer. I mean, you can always play Jimmy at 7,400. It's a good price. There's a massive ceiling. You just have to hope you get the day that Jimmy Butler cares and like
Right.
shows up where he's not trolling the media with orange hair because all the Sun stuff, and then like he actually plays basketball. You can always play him, and then the Cam J stuff always can shoot you into a tournament and shoot you right out of a tournament, as you and I felt on Friday, right? Like he has a very high ceiling when his shot's falling. He got
off to a really good start in that game.
He did,
and then basically did nothing.
And then he basically did anything. So nothing. So like, yeah, I mean, if I have no issues getting to anyone or any of those guys, RJ and Paul George for me personally stand out above the rest though.
Okay. How are we handling the rest of these Toronto guys? Like Baji's here, $5,300. He's going to play, 30 or so minutes. You'll have Mogbo possibly, who was chalky, before as a guy that could get extra run. Do you have any interest here in the Toronto, just given the Chicago matchup?
Yeah, Mobo is really interesting when we get there.
Yeah.
Agbaji, and we talked Grady Dick. He was really good. We didn't talk Jacoby Walter. He played another 26 minutes last game. 4,400 shooting guard. I would probably take a shot on Walter over like Davion Mitchell.
Okay.
But for me, not Agbaji. We'll talk about the rest of Toronto in a couple positions.
Okay. What are we thinking for the rest of the small forward position?
Council. I do think Council has a role. No Caleb Martin again. So no Caleb Martin, no McCain, no Embiid. So Ricky Council is probably going to play a decent amount of minutes. I know you mentioned him as shooting guard, but like just revisiting that conversation, like he should play a good amount just with how many injuries they have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I mean, like the Ron Holland stuff against Boston was hilarious.
Dude, what a random Ron Holland game, right?
Like he obviously like has like really raw upside, which is why he was drafted like 4th. I think he was 4th, 5th. I don't know. He's one of the first.
Right?
Yeah. If he started, like if they went small and started him, Miami plays a small lineup, so there would obviously be. We just don't know who's starting for Tobias.
Yeah.
So whatever Asora's here, 39. He hasn't played more than 20 minutes. Last 4 games, he hasn't played more than 14. Holland's here, 34.
Kind of weird that he got the 20 minutes in his second game back, right? And then
Yep.
So I'm if they start him,
he started though again,
right? But now there's no Toby, right? Like I don't know. Do you feel like they would extend him? I mean,
I'm not sure. I really don't, because like they could.
Sure.
It also feels like they could have already extended him by now, and maybe that's just me being.
I mean, Toby's kind of locked into like
35 minutes. Yeah, a lot. No, for sure. So my initial thought is that they start Thompson or they start Simone would probably be the two I'd guess. But I mean, Miami's also playing a smaller lineup, so I have no idea.
He's also not his brother either, right? Like
he's also not his brother. He's also not his brother.
Even last year when Oswald was playing like bigger minutes, like he was very inconsistent. He's not a good offensive player. More of an around the rim guy, right? Like there's, I'm just calling it out as a 3,900 play. I think I'd rather play Council for value here. Anybody else for you?
No, but they definitely are a little upset that they got the wrong brother.
Who picked first?
I think Amen went 5. Houston had 5, right?
I think so.
I think Detroit had 9 5-9, 5-7.
Osor got the early chance to play, but it's very Eamon. Yeah, Osor went 5th.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, so they Detroit took.
Eamon went 4, Osor went 5.
They went 4-5. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. When Wemby, Miller, Scoot, Eamon, Osor, Anthony Black, Block Coulibaly. Not really a great draft after that.
Well, Coulibaly. My boy Coulibaly heating up.
Someone trade for Cam Whitmore, please.
I know he is buried.
Dude, just buried.
He has no chance. He has no chance to play for that team.
Just trade him. All right. RJ is there. George is there. Top 2 highest power forward. So again, as you can see, you can play them both if you wanted to. He said Mobley's likely going to be back here. I don't really like this. Bridges. What did Bridges end up playing for minutes in that game?
25,
which is kind of where you had him pegged. He was fine. He was fine at 25.
No one. Miles Bridges has never seen a shot he doesn't like. We know that for sure.
0 for 6 from 3. Not a usual 0 for 6er. So
you assume what? He's between 28 and 30 here, probably. 30 minutes, probably.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, where did he come back? What was that time? Didn't he get hurt earlier this year? Right here, right?
Yeah.
Like 27, and 33, and then got hurt again. Yeah, so maybe around 30 minutes tonight. I mean, he gave you 33 at 6K in 25. So, yeah, if you want to, I won't say no to it this time around like I did last time because I just didn't know what he was going to play last time, which is the only reason I wasn't really interested in playing him there. So, I'm good with Bridges if you want to get there.
Same.
They started Yabusele. He didn't play a lot of minutes. They have no Embiid now, though. They were really liking to play him more than they were Drummond. Do we just get more Yabusele here?
Do you think that they, with no Caleb Martin as well, do you think they just go back to that Drummond Yabusele starting lineup?
Possibly.
Because they can also start. KJ Martin is probably another candidate to start. We saw KJ Martin start a bunch.
There's also a different Charlotte team than the last time they played because now they have Williams and Richards back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So before we played Yabusele in that game because they were doing Diabate, Grant Williams, I think. Sorry,
yeah, that's
So.
true. I'm a little indifferent about Yabo. If he's the minutes have obviously been a little bit of a concern.
Mobo's here, as we mentioned. He played 30 in that game, got you 24 fantasy points, had 10 rebounds in that game. I mean, again, the minutes are going to be there. He's going to start. It's just whether or not he can fill the stat sheet for you.
He's a good player, dude. He looks like an NBA player. Very active on the glass, good passer, good defensively, and shoots threes. Like he's not afraid to shoot threes, which I like. So I like Mobo 44. I like the spot. He's going to be first ownership run. He's going to be the highest roster player of the slate. Okay. I don't know if you mentioned Aaron Gordon at 55, but I like Aaron Gordon at 55. He has been really good in his return. He's just been also involved in 2 blowouts, and he was super good in that Clippers game. Well over a fantasy point per minute. The peripheral stats have been great. The 3-point volume has been great. So also love Aaron Gordon at 55.
Yep, agreed. All right. Anybody else at power forward?
Mobo. I don't think so. I was a little annoyed at the Clippers that they started. Who did they start? They started Nick Batum at 3,200 over Amir Coffey. Mm-hmm. Batum only played 22 minutes. I really probably wouldn't go there.
Sure.
If they swapped the lineup to Amir Coffey 3,900, then I would give it some consideration, but that's probably the only condition that I would.
Okay. Center we go. The Joker's here 12-2. We got a little price discount because he had a down game because there was a blowout, but he also
he wasn't good. Yeah, he wasn't good. Even blowout aside, he just wasn't good.
Yes. Doesn't deter me from going back to the West.
No.
So I would pay the 12-2. I would have no problem doing it. Would you go Sabonis on the other side of that matchup?
Yeah, Jokic isn't a great defender, and I feel like we're starting to get they realize like, hey guys, we've won 3 in a row. 4 of the last 5 we've won. Look at what we get when we get. Look at what happens when we get this man like going, right. Like he has been cooking, and all these are results and wins. So,
Yep.
um, the assists are obviously down because Malik Monk is in the starting lineup, and they just have so many people
Sure.
with the ball. But if he's going to be more consistent as a scorer, he can make up for the lack of assists. So, yeah, I think Sabonis is a really nice pivot off of Jokic.
Okay. Bam had a big game the other night. Yeah, Jakob Pertl against Chicago at $7,300. Zubac 71. Blocker Kessler $6,600. What are we doing in the mid tier?
Yeah, the mid tier is interesting. I like Bam 8,200 coming off a lot of really good games in a row. We're finally getting like I'm the best player on this team, Bam, because I mean that's my opinion has always been he's been their best player for like the last couple of years, just at least two-way. And the offense had been terrible to start the year, and now it's not. And he's still making still taking and making a few threes. So I love Bam 82. He's gonna demolish whoever is in the front court for Detroit. Mobley's fine. Pirtle, obviously, like just the weirdest it could be with Jakob Pirtle from that game, right? Like scratched from starting, listed doubtful. 2 minutes into the game, he was back and he was dunking. 2 minutes in, just dunk.
He was good, 7 of 12, right? Like,
and he was good, except for the fact that like he wasn't from a fantasy perspective. He wasn't like he was good. He was fine, real basketball.
he gave you a point per minute, right? Like,
I know, but the 27 minutes is where it hurt. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Not having him on the injury report, I'm willing to go right back to the well. He's been so good. Zubats, I'm perfectly fine with. Walker Kessler's been amazing. It's a really good mid tier. Nick Claxton, of course, down game last time. Jaren Duran off the injury report. You can always play him in a tournament, but good luck. I bet you Drummond is going to get a bunch of ownership. That my guess would be Drummond's popular, and I'm okay with like not playing it. I'm also okay like if you think that Drummond is starting and getting extended over, over
Sure.
Yabusele, then I think that is a viable approach.
Agreed. Kelly O got 11 minutes in that game, missed all of his shots. Just
Can't
play when you're strictly the backup to
no.
There. Jalen Smith was the chalky play with Vuk out. If Vuk is for whatever reason ends up being ruled out again, we would go back. He was as advertised, 5 blocks, 40 fantasy points. Anybody else for you at center? Any value?
Dayron's still like not great minutes. I guess they could technically start Stewart. You can play Mobo here. That's a value center that you wanted to play. But there's nothing else down here.
All right, let's build a lineup then. Do we go Joker or do we want more of a fair and balanced approach?
What's the value if we play Joker? I guess is the question.
Council.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the good bet for minutes here. Right?
Yeah.
And he was, what was he, 4K? 39? Something like that?
Mobo. You'd play Mobo too, 44.
Mobo. Yeah, so I mean if you did Jokic, Mobo.
Council's 42. I don't like that price, but
Council. And then I agree. Shaman Barrett is just like a bunch of 5Ks. I guess you'd play like Milton, 47. Let's see. Is there even another? You like KPJ? Be a guard. We like Barrett, though. I was going to say you could try to play like George over Barrett.
Yeah, I mean, if you play George or Barrett, it's like slightly more comfortable.
$5,900.
Grady.
Yeah, I get Grady as like the pivot off of. And then
you'd want to switch him in KPJ, but yeah. You already knew where I was going.
Yeah. Grady.
Aaron Gordon, 55.
Yeah, that works. Aaron Gordon, and then what was this one? Console?
This was KPJ.
KPJ. Can't type in KPJ, won't give it to me.
No, that wouldn't work.
All right, so there's an example lineup to get Nikola Jokic in there. Milton, Council, George, Mogbo, Jokic, Dick, Gordon, and Kevin Porter Jr. We'll be back live, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Get you guys ready for the 6-game main slate. Grande's on your playbook. You know where to find us in the Discord and over on the X Twitter machine. If you have any questions, get us there. Until then, leave a message in the comments section. We'll interact with you there as well. We'll catch you later.